Oh my God, welcome. Welcome everyone. This is my 10-year anniversary on YouTube, and I want to say to everyone, thank you for the huge support. Oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been just a wonderful time. I have been I'm totally blown away. I remembered that it was coming up, but my life has been so busy. I've been up and down all day with my boss and my coworkers, and and then all of a sudden I got this message from YouTube. Happy anniversary, 10 years anniversary, and I'm like, oh my God, yes, today's 4th of July. So, to all of my subscribers out there, especially the people who have been with me from the beginning, oh my God, we have been here for 10 years. I'm so happy. I am so grateful to all my subscribers, my VIP, my light subscribers, my medium subscribers, because I don't know if you guys know that I do have an extra behind YouTube where I have subscribers, and they get VIP readings, light readings, and medium. Okay. Really, this I'm so grateful. I'm really so grateful. I had no idea on July 4th, 10 years ago, that I would have continued. I thought, all right, everybody's saying that I need to go on YouTube. I need to use my gift. I need to help people. I need to help humanity. And when I started out, I can remember it was a very hot day, so as this one. And I remember I got 27 views. 27 views. And I think, okay, 27, well, 27 people really listened to what I had to say. And I've been constantly doing it. And I want to thank the people behind the scenes at YouTube, Google. You guys have done amazing jobs. Because I remember when I reached out to you guys and I said, hey, can we have like behind our channel that we could do extended readings for people, because we're always talking about extended readings. At the time it wasn't only Vimeo, and I don't know, I just didn't like Vimeo, and I just didn't want my stuff to go all over the place. So I write an email and I asked YouTube, I said, listen, what about if you guys send out this prescription thing so people can choose if they want to have one extended reading, they want to have more, or they, the VIPs, well, the big readings, they get free readings once in a time. And I am so grateful YouTube really rolled it out. I was so amazing. I was so happy I could connect with a lot of people. And I should say, and this is the reason why I said I'm not going over to TikTok. I don't know. I don't feel it. Okay. And that was one of the reasons why I've been so loyal to YouTube in all of these years. It's because when we begin at YouTube to do these readings, it was only horoscope readings, and then there was some. And now it's amazing, and I'm so happy to see so many Black people, because you are all the healers of this planet, okay? And a lot of people do not know that, all right? If you recognize what people do not understand is that each person has a different energy frequency. The darker the person is the more laminated, but more energy frequency that they carries in their body, okay? Some can use it for good or bad. It really doesn't matter, because it's my 10-year anniversary, and I'm not going to be going in those negative people things. But I want to say to all of my subscribers, and I know because my American viewers, they can't pick me up, and the reason why is that each country is set up with a certain EP address. Okay, so what happened is that whatever goes on in Europe, not all the times you can get it in America. You have to be a subscriber, because a lot of people are like saying, you know, wow, I haven't found you. So like all my subscribers, I had over 60,000 subscribers in America when I was in America. But when I came back to Europe, because my EP address changed, the way I upload my videos, that is it. I used to do it on my server because I have a VPN, but there is also, so, you know, all of my American I'm going to be live. I'm going to be live tonight at 2 o'clock. So I'm so grateful for two things: that at least there is nothing to happen in the US, and I'm hoping, keeping my fingers crossed. It's like 8 o'clock here or so, and I totally forget this. I should have done this video and set it up in the morning before I started working, but I was finished like at 5 o'clock, and I was like, all right, weekend, should I do something? Do I have to do something? Do I have to do readings? And I was thinking, I was here, and I was, oh my God, and then I was loaded up my weekly video, and I saw that. Thanks to all my subscribers. What was my plan was to do a live with my friends, all my interviewers in all of the year, but I don't do this professional. I do this as my hobby because I have a really stressful job. So I have another job, so I can only do these in the evenings before I go to bed and on the weekend. So I had spoken to you know, all the people that I've interviewed on this channel, and they wanted to do the celebration of the 10 years, but my schedule is so busy. I've totally, since the year has begun, I have been so extremely busy, especially when it comes out to tax season and that sort of a thing between January and May. And May, I went to do my operation to get out all of the metals out of my body, because you remember, they went after my life again. And so, you know, I've been so busy. I have not looked at anything for myself. But all I want to say to my subscribers, if you have a dream and you believe in doing something to help humanity, go find that dreams, go do it. I started blogging. I was blogging in English, I was blogging in Dutch, and I started blogging. I just started to write things. I used to write a blog per week. And I remember, because he passed away, one of the best YouTubers that we had, Gregory Scott, and I remember the first time I came across this video, and I said, you know, because I've studied myself for many years, and this is what I say to a lot of people: when you know who you are as a person, then nothing can affect you in life, okay? Because you know what you're here for, what, you know, because I questioned myself, you know. As a child, I remember when I had sense, I started questioning myself, because I've always told you guys, when I was like 5, I was like, I said to my grandmother, I said, you know, did you see that light when you were born? And I can't see it anymore. I just can't see it anymore. And then I was so perplexed that I can't see the light, and I'm like, Grandma, I can't see the light anymore. Where's the light? Where did the light went? It was as if I was in a ball of light. And I remember I was 5 years old when I said, Grandma, I can't see the light anymore. The light is gone. And a lot of people, I seem to ask a lot of people, did you ever have that? People can't remember when they were 5 years old. I can remember when I was 5 years old. I can remember when my awareness began. Because I lose that light. There was a light that was connected to me, and then I started studying after the years to find out what was that, and I recognized that we were all born with that light. Some people are aware and some people are not aware, okay? But I missed the light because it was like it kept me in perfect balance. You know, it was warm, but those are your guardian angels. It's like they protect you in a cocoon until you become aware. So like babies, you know, you always see baby looking and you're like, what are you looking at? It's their angels they're looking at. Okay. So I that's where my quest actually begins. And then when I was 8, I got in an accident, and and you know, I went to the hospital, and it was the time that I spent in the hospital. I started wondering why, and I recognized what the number meant, and then I connected back to my life part number. So I started finding out things about myself. I basically use myself as a scientific to study myself, but to understand people on a whole. Okay. So why did I do this channel? I did this channel because I felt that humanity was not awakened. There was just so many reasons why. Um, but like the biggest one was I needed to heal my trauma of my last parents passing away. When my last parents passed away, I really needed to heal my trauma. And I've always been different. I can't remember myself not being different. I was always different. I just felt not comfortable on this planet. I saw hatred. I see dishonesty. I see people hurting other people, and I just couldn't take it. I was one of those children that is always with a book. I just always want to read. I just always want to know more. And I recognize that there are things that I knew, and like I used to ask my mom stuff, and she said, well, I don't know, but I'm going to look for the book. And she always buy me the book so I can read it for myself and understand it for myself. And that was it. You know, I see my mother as my hero. She was my hero. I love my father, but my mother was like my hero. The things that she did for children, because she was a teacher and she always wanted me to become a teacher. I was like, no. And what I saw, what my mother, the legacy that she left behind, I could never have walked in her shoes. And I think this is the reason why, because I can say I was hurt. I was so upset when my mom died. I had a sort of a to other people, because I think, you know, what's the purpose of you on this earth? There is nothing that you have done. And it's always good people that die young. Always go back and look. Always good people, even kids that died when I was in school, always good people that die young. And you know, I wanted to know why, you know, there's evil, bloody people that live so long, and I'm thinking, why? But they're on the karma wheel. And good people just die very young because they come to this planet for a very short time, just to leave a legacy or just to leave something behind. And I should say, I think that was one of the days, those were days when I remember I came back to Holland because my work gave me time, a month in America, so I could pack up the house, you know, make sure the house that, you know, was clean up and all of that. And my best friend was there the whole time with me in America. And it was a month that my company gave me off to clear up my stuff, my mother's stuff in America. And at the time, I couldn't cry. You know, even I remember when my mom died and I called my ex-husband in Holland, and he was like, oh my God, okay, we'll be there. And they were there in 2 days, okay? I remember my mom died and they were there the Thursday. And I don't know, a lot of people have like uneven relationships with their parents, but I was one of these persons that had one of the best relationships with my parents. Um, and I'm proud to say that because I was the only child, and you know, my parents didn't spoil me. They just like teach me like different things. Like my father will sit with me for hours and teach me chess. And both my parents worked for the government, so it was, you know, so after my mom died, that was, I think my whole world just crashed. I remember that. And then I started going towards looking for the truth of what life is all about, okay? Because I was not one of those person who, oh, I want to get married. When I grow up, I'm going to get married. No, when I grow up, I want to have my business, and I want to drive my Mercedes Benz. That was me. And everybody's like, don't you want to get married? Don't you want? I'm like, no, why? I was one of those weird, unusual people. I never played. I don't like playing. I really don't like sweating. I don't like people sweat. I go to the sports school, but if I don't need to go to the sports school, I don't want to go to the sports school because there's so much people that use the machine. And even when I'm spraying it, because I'm spraying it, I'm taking off my DNA. You're not going to be using my DNA. So I was one. I'm like one of those people who's like, ugh, you know, I don't like huge public places. I don't like crowds. And if you recognize it when you are, and if even you don't recognize it, but you just recognize that you don't like crowds. And the weirdest thing, and I'm going to give you, because like this, I'm just sharing who I am as a person. The weirdest thing is that when I was young, I used to party a lot. There was no clubs in New York that I never used to go to. And I'm recognizing I used to go out. We go after work. We always meet up for after work, and we go someplace for after work, and then after 8 o'clock in the night, then we skip to some places, and then I go home, and then Saturday I go do my hair, and then we hook up again, and we go for dinner, and then we're out to another club and that sort of a thing. And seriously, you know, that was my life for most of my young life. Until I left and came to Europe. But my thing is that in the time, yeah, we used to drink a lot. And now that I stopped drinking, and I recognized it, because when I came to live in Europe, I became like more at peace. Is like going out and that sort of a thing didn't interest me anymore, because I've seen it all. I've seen it all, ladies and gentlemen. We used to party, we used to go there, but I've seen it all. And I think then I stopped drinking basically, and I'm someone, I can shake anything. I don't get like you get connected and you know you must have something. No, I'm not one of those people. And that's how you know that you're a star seed and you're on the right part. You don't get connected to anything like drugs, alcohol. No, you can break yourself. You know, you can have it for a time and then you just stop, and then it doesn't affect you. And that's the reason why I started looking at spirituality, and I started digging deeper. I started meditating. I started doing yoga. I started doing just about anything, jazz ballet, anything that could, you know, give me inner peace. And my inner peace is that I will like wake up and do yoga. I need to have inner peace. And if I'm with someone or in a space that I can't find my inner peace, then I'm going to leave it, because my inner peace is very, very important to me. A lot of people, like, they will always have music over their heads. I don't mind it. I can blast my stereo in my car and I'm driving and I blast it out high and I'll be singing along. But then there is sometimes that I just don't want to hear the television. I don't want to hear the radio. I don't want to hear music. I just want to find that state of inner peace. And a lot of people do not understand that, because a lot of people do not have inner peace. So those are people who are very dramatic, okay? People who constantly have to be in contact with someone. People who constantly have to feed off the energy of another person. And I can just stay away and find my inner peace. And trust me, ladies and gentlemen, when you find your inner peace and someone is going to be like creating chaos for you, you're going to be like stepping back, because you don't want anyone to take your inner peace away, okay? So being here and doing this, I've always given away, because if you guys know me, I'm always there every couple of years. I think I gave it away on my 5 years anniversary. I gave all of my subscriber, those were the people who subscribed for my extended videos, okay, because I have different extended, and I gave, like, I sent everyone a gift, and I used that to support a little girl that was starting her business. And I think she was like 15 and she was starting her business, my little niece. And I sent a lot of people, and I sent them a gift. So, ladies and gentlemen, I had to stop, because a lot of people are asking me, why aren't you doing readings anymore? But I did it like for, I think, 5 years straight. I was doing live every Friday night, if you guys remember that. Yeah. So it takes a lot out of you, okay? Because I'm looking at YouTube from how far we were coming. I was the first one who begins with pull a card. I was the first one that begins with a live reading. People asking questions, and I'm doing the readings. And it was fun at the moment. It was wonderful, but it takes so much energies, okay? Because if you recognize, once you work a full-time job, especially in the job that I'm in, you are it takes a lot of energy, okay? I was doing readings after work. I was connecting. I had certain people who would connect with me to find out things about their clients and that sort of a thing. And thanks to all of you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I am glad that I could have helped people. I've kind of found this out when I was at a very young age, that I would have done that. And I remember my great-grandmother, when she died, she was 104. And she says, you're a psychic. And I in the time, I don't know, I was 6. I had to go see her before she died, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a psychic. She said, yeah, you're gonna travel the world. I was like, okay. But I was a child. But she was right. Basically, she was right. She never told me that my parents was gonna die. But you guys know where I'm coming from. You have had, and this is it. I think a lot of people do create a channel, whether it's on TikTok, YouTube, or wherever. But my channel is to help humanity to investigate things, okay? As you recognize, I don't read like other people. So if you're looking to find out, like, I don't read for another person. Let's say that you want to know what your husband is doing. You ask me to do a reading. If I see it in there, that means you're supposed to know. But if you're going to be like, ask me, oh, can you look at my boyfriend? Can you tell me what's going on? I don't do that. And the reason why is that we have gifts, and we're not supposed to overgun our gifts, okay? If we use our gifts to like overgun another person's boundaries, then our gifts can be taken away from us, okay? That's why the dark ones and the witches, and they lose their gifts and they lose their soul along with it, okay? So I had to stop, because I made I did well with what I was doing. But then I had to stop for myself, for taking back my energy, because I was giving too much of my energy, so I drained myself. Okay. And a lot of people do not understand that readings, and all of these YouTube people, all of these readers, doing readings, if you are a true reader or a channeler, because I'm a channeler, it takes a lot of energy. Okay, it really does take a lot of energy. And some of us, we can open up doors. So we can open up doors in the future, the present, and the past. Okay, but there are certain doors, like by me, I close off myself. So if someone is going to say, oh, I read this person, and no, that's not true. You can't. Okay, by doing these sort of reading and exposing my energy, I had to really block anything. So if someone said, oh, I read her and this is a no, the story that you get is not what, because whoever your spirit guides are that is asking you to get the information, my spirit guides have blocked them. Okay, so there is a lot of people, like, you know, but people like do it for money. I don't do this for money, because if you know, I stopped doing all my readings, because I used to do like a lot of readings. I have connected with so many people in my entire life that I had no idea I would be, and I'm talking about worldwide. And I had to stop because it was taking my energy. I felt like drained. I was like tired, and I had to come back and reclaim my energy, and then you know, revitalize yourself by meditation. Okay, I want to say thanks to all of, I'm glad I could have like opened the way for a lot of, because check it out, go back 10 years and check it out. I do not, I was the only Black person. I'm so glad to see all of these ladies, you know, because you see, the thing about it is that Black people are taught that they're not good enough, and they have no, you know, power or no sense of being. Okay, and I think that it's wrong, because if you all know the truth, Black people are the only one with power. Okay, Black people are the only one with power. So you know, and speak to any Jew, talk to the Jews, they know that. Okay, Black people just are not ready. Well, I don't think they will ever be ready, because they just fight against each other. When you look at the Chinese, the Indians, the Japanese, those people come together, it doesn't really matter, and they you know, they help each other. But you know, there is just something, and this is rooted, this is a deep rooted problems in the society of Black people. And this is why I say to people, do not put me in a category. Okay, my color doesn't say who I am, because it has nothing to do with my color. The reason why I was born and come into this color by having two different race parents is that I had to come in with certain different DNA straws in order to have my divine gifts. Okay, I had to be born at a certain place in order to have my divine gifts. So you know, and I'm one of those people. I do not use my divine gifts. I don't change destiny. Okay, and as I've told you guys this, I met an old couple in Holland, and apparently they went and they knew I was from a past life. They kenned me from a past life. And this man and this woman, when I met them, they were close in their 60s. And the woman said, oh, I know you're spiritual, I know you're gifted, and did you know that in a past lifetime you could change time and space? I said yes, but I'm not doing it in this lifetime. That's how far, because there are dark people on this planet that can see who you are. And I said, yes, I'm not changing it. I said, if you guys do not learn, I see both of you come back in this past lifetime. And these are people I met in Holland. And these people have created the mess, okay? Because there's a lot of people who don't like to hear no, okay? And if you as a person cannot take a no, well, you know, you have a problem, okay? And you're going to be having problems all your life, okay? And I said to her, no. I said, no. I said, I'm not going to be doing this in this lifetime. And I knew them also. I've known them in past lifetime. And these people went on until they, you know, they did things, and I'm just looking at them and I think these are people who stay on the karma wheel. They just go around on the karma wheel. They just never see their fault. They just never recognize that you as a person have to change, okay? If you are going to be deciding to, you know, free load of people, energy of people, intellectual ability of people, not doing anything for yourself. And listen to me, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of people on this planet that cannot create, okay? They steal other people information, and that's why there is intellectual, okay? Because I've seen it and I'm thinking, but you know, people don't respect other people and that sort of a thing. So you know, close to this year, I'm going to be bringing out my autobiography. I already write the first part. The second part is going to be blowing people out of water, because trust me, what has happened to me in the last 3 years, at least from Corona. So you guys know what happened to my eyes. So whatever that was going on, I found out, I was doing an investigation. I found out that there were human smuggling operation, how they were doing it and whatever they were doing. And I was not supposed to come back to Europe. And I came back to Europe, and a lot of people don't know certain things about traveling back to Europe, because if you didn't come out of Europe, you cannot go back in there, okay? And I'm glad that the governments have been doing all of these changes, because if it was not that, I was in, because I don't know if this is your first time, I was in Orlando Airport, and I had my bag. I went by the kiosk to scan my passport, and I was standing there, and there was a guy who was working by the kiosk. And I took out my passport. I scanned my passport by the kiosk. And I was there waiting for my boarding pass. My boarding pass came out of the kiosk. I took it out. I put it in my my passport, and I put it back in my bag. And the guy turned to me and he said, "Oh, I'm going to get one of those passports." And I stood there. I looked at him. Yeah, I'm going to get one of those passports. Now I have a European passport. Now how the hell you work here by the kiosk in MRC, and you're going to be getting a European passport? Obviously, someone is settling something underneath the table. So I just looked at him. I just walked away. And I know how he would have gotten that passport, because I've been in Florida, and the people who were working there, I know they will sell people identity underneath the table, okay? So anyway, I left and I went and I was checking in. Now we had the Spanish woman, and I don't know if a lot of people don't know what happened in America whenever there's Republican or Democratic. Whoever wins, there is a certain time that certain airports are run by Spanish people or they're run by Jamaicans. I can give you an example. It depends if it's Republican or it's Democrat. Some airports in Florida is run by certain groups of people, okay? And at the time that I was there, it was the Dominicans. And the time before that, when the other parties in power is the Jamaicans, okay? And I can say I have never ever been harassed by Black Americans or Jamaica, never ever, okay? But I was, and it was a full moon, 2029 was a full moon, 2019, Okay, that's 2,219. 15th of August, I was returning, and I have never seen such dishonesty in my entire life. Okay, I had to, my ticket had a suitcase and everything was paid from Europe. And this lady told me that I was overweight, and I had to open my suitcase. Okay, and all of the governments can look back. I give you the date and see what happens to me. I had to open my suitcase, and she wanted me to throw out my clothes. And I said, is the clothes going to go to the you know, people, Red Cross? Because I always give my furniture and clothes to Red Cross, or you know, to the thrift stores and that sort of a thing. And they were looking at my clothes, because I have very expensive clothes. And they were looking at my clothes, and this woman went on, and she went on, and then at the end of the day, she said, oh, your flight already. I said, listen to me. I don't know who you think you are and why you think I'm not going back to Europe, but you don't make any decision for me and any plan. And I check on my stuff, because we could carry a suitcase and a carry-on. Oh, I had a Huggies in a bag with an Apple bag, you know, the Apple bag around you. Oh, that has to be check-in. Your carry-on has to be check-in. I said it's a carry-on, like, and anyway, and I've never seen such dishonesty in my entire life. Ladies and gentlemen, I had to pay 350 euros in America to get my travel on to be checked in. Okay, when the travel on and the suitcase was already checked on. I've never seen such evil dishonesty in my whole entire life. And the weirdest thing is that I was going on the Norwegian flight coming back, and all these white people, all these Norwegian, okay, Norwegian in the Spinnaker, Finland, Norwegian, there. And they were all looking at all these Spanish people, how they were treating me. And I just stood up. I just stood up to her. I just really let her just do her thing, and I just walked away. And I went to TS, and TS said, oh, Karine, how many pieces of luggage have you checked in? I said, I checked in 2 pieces of luggage, because Express wanted me to check in my carry-on. He said, no, you don't have to check in your carry-on. I said, I don't know what is going on with that lady. But obviously she thinks that she's the manager of the checking in for this flight. And I just want to go home. I'm tired. I've been down here for 3 years. I have seen enough. So the TS guy, he said, Karine, don't go without your other piece of luggage. I'm going to send you back. So he sent me back for the other piece of luggage. So I went back there. And the guy went on until I called my partner in Europe, and I said, listen to this. And he said, what the hell is going on here? I said, someone is trying to do something that was not above water. Okay. So I just paid them the 350 euro. I think, you know, stuck it. And I went back. So when I walked back, because I had to wait for them. When I walked back, this other lady that is a TS officer, she said, oh my God, Karine. I said, yes. And she said, did you know that a woman came with a copy of your boarding pass, but she did not have a passport? We got her and we went back. Yeah, do you see the guy who sent you back to get, it's the lucky thing we sent you to get the boarding pass. They were doing something. This woman came with your boarding pass and she didn't have a passport. I was like, what? And she said, come, Karine, did you get your other boarding pass, a piece of, you know, because when you check in 2 bags, you need to have 2 pieces. I said, yes, I got it. And she said, where's your boarding pass? I said, here, it's in my bag. I said, how did that lady? She said, well, something is wrong. So we caught the woman and we took her down there. This happens, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, the 15th of August on a Norwegian flight that was at 11 o'clock in the night that was when I was returning to Europe. Okay, I'm going to tell you how devious people are and what goes on into this world and how you are targeted by people. So anyway, the TS woman, TS service, the one, she said, please give her space, let her go up. She needs to get our flight back to Europe. And do you know the reason why? Because they know that my parents live in Orlando. I was traveling to Orlando from Amsterdam for many years. Okay, I've lived in Europe before 9/11. When 9/11 happened, I was in school in Europe. And what we recognize, I was like plain as what. And I remember I went through the thing and I stand up and she said, you gotta go get something to drink. You gotta drink something sweet. It's like you are so pale. That's what it was a Caucasian lady. And she said, oh my God, you gotta get something sweet. And I said, I'm blown away. I don't know why it's happening. And she said, anyway, when you get through, put on your shoes, go get something to drink before you take the shuttle back to your gate. And I walked through and she frisked me and everything. And I took it up and I walked back. And I got to my gate and my flight was still there. Do you hear me? I got to the gate and my flight was still there. Because if you travel to Orlando, you know how huge Orlando airport is. And you have to take shuttles from one place to another. Ladies and gentlemen, what these people were doing, okay? What these people were doing, and it's a good thing Europe set in the system. If you have your fingerprint or your iris card, okay? What that bloody lady, because I didn't check in at the Bali because I didn't want them to access my details and information. So I checked in at the kiosk. Okay, and this guy that was standing at the kiosk is looking at my European passport and said, oh, I'm going to get one of those soon. And I knew exactly when he said that because I was there investigating how these people were getting passes, getting into Europe, how these people were going through America and getting passes coming into Europe because they were using Americans who are not in the country at the same time, information and data. So I really went through. I got something to drink and I reached my gate and I called my partner. My partner called me back from Holland. That was in the middle of the night. And he said, are you okay? Are you now by the gate? And I said, yeah, I'm now okay. I'm by the gate. And he said, what the hell is going on? I said, I have no idea. But this woman was telling me that my flight left. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be advising the public. Whenever you are at a airport and whoever is checking you in is telling you that your flight has already left, you make sure you go look at the flight board, you go ask someone at the counter. Do you know what those people were doing? You motherfuckers, I'm going to get you back. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm telling you, there are some really hateful, devious people on this planet. Now, I did not check in the Bali because I was leaving because I got a note on my truck that get out of Florida, they're trying to kill you. Because I was investigating them. And what this lady did, this lady print out a boarding pass behind, those people that stand and you can go to the kiosk or you can stand in the line. I was only dropping off my luggage. And she went in and print off a double boarding pass and gave it to someone. And that's why I had to check in my carry-on luggage so that they recognized they were using my same name with the boarding pass and the travel-on luggage. And that's why TS saw what was happening, sent me back to make sure they placed the 2 baggage paper on my carry-on, and the itinerary, okay? Because my itinerary was in my bag all the time, all right? So there's no way another person, I was like 2 or 3 black people on the flight to Norway, okay? Because I decided I was not going to fly straight to Amsterdam, but travel through Norway, Okay, I'm going to tell you how evil and devious people are and how this criminal ring run deep. So ladies and gentlemen, I got through that. I was talking to my partner and I said, yeah. I said, they just found out downstairs that someone had a copy of my itinerary, but the girl didn't have a passport. So yes, they were trying. That's why the lady at the counter told me, oh, your flight already left. And I said to her, you're not going to be telling me whether or not I'm going back to Europe, because I know my flight is at 11 o'clock. So this effing wife, by the front, they all had a plan. They didn't know when I was going to leave, but they somehow had a tracker or something on my vehicle. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why I have this channel, to advise people of things that happen and people, the things that happen to people, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, this lady, whoever paid her, she printed a copy of my boarding pass and gave it to someone. And I had to check in my carry-on luggage, okay? Because they were trying to smuggle, yeah, lady, I told you I was going to get you back. They were kind of smuggling someone on there. And this is how they do. They tell the person that the flight already gone. And because I remember she said, you know, I said, you can take off anything. I said, I don't know what the power you think that you have now, lady, but you have no powers. And I was just so calm. I was so calm. Like the last time I haven't been calm because my spirit is just so cross to see how far people will go. And ladies and gentlemen, when I was talking to my partner on the phone, and he said, anyway, all of a sudden my phone cut off because I have AT&T. Okay, so I didn't turn off my phone. I didn't turn off my phone until I get my phone service until I get back to Europe. My phone just went dead. They recognized that I came through and I was sitting down at the gate to get my flight. And that was when I was like, son of a bitches. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're sitting down, we're about to board. And I was like, I stood in the line and I walked up. So when I walked up, and I should say, I walked up, there was 3 Dominican Republic little girls, okay? Because when certain, when a Democratic or Republican is in, the Dominicans, they take over. Then the Jamaicans take over when the other one. And there was one little dark-skinned guy. And I was saying to the guy, I said, are you sure that my carry-on is on the flight? And he said, yes, miss, I put it on. I said, may I have the receipt, please? I paid $350 for a carry-on that I should have. That was less than 10 pounds. That was less than 10 pounds, okay? And he said, and then I was, and because at some stage of the game downstairs, I remember the little boy said, you people need to leave the lady now. It's okay, leave the lady. And he really took up for me. And so you have to go up to this thing and then you have to look through it and the gate open. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, when I looked through that thing and the gate opened, those 3 little bitches, they could have fallen in the ground, ladies and gentlemen. And I remember that little boy turned around and looked at them and cut his eyes and said, have a nice flight, miss. And I think, you mother effers. Ladies and gentlemen, black people do not like black people, okay? And a lot of Dominican Republics, I did share a situation about color and who and whatever. Dominican and Haiti is 2 countries. They do not like Asians because the Asians are too dark, okay? And I think that is just so far from out history that is happening. And it is still happening now because that was 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, when I looked through that thing, the gate opened, the 3 little bitches. So they were planning on putting one of them. And what they do, because now you people really, I gave you years. What they do, ladies and gentlemen, is that they tell you that your flight has gone, and what they do is use your name to give their people to travel under, but they didn't know that they need a passport. Ladies and gentlemen, when you are an American and you travel in America and you live in America for a very long time, we used to go to the islands with our driver's license or our identity. Okay, that was many years ago. But these mother effing criminals didn't know that they needed a passport to get to Europe. So I hope you criminals really learned that lesson. So when I came back into Europe and I got to thing there, the first thing I got, she said, go change your passport, because they already wired it up to tell the lady, once I come up and come through, change your passport direct, because they found out that someone used my boarding pass and was doing something. So let me tell you people something, because you all are effing criminals. But I tell you people, the American government and the governments are getting more smarter. So go again and do that to another person. It is a criminal offense what you do, okay? All right? Because they were planning on putting one of their people into your name when they tell you miss your flight. You don't miss your flight. Your flight is up there. They don't want to check you in because they know that they had someone else's plan to use your identity and information to come into Europe. I found out what you people have been doing. So, okay, another time you're going to be disrespecting another person. Now, get ready. Those same people that I just said are the same people that was in the embassy that I went to in Miami. Okay? The same people. And that was the same guy who was standing up telling me that, oh, I'm going to get one of those passports. And I thought, oh, yes. Those people are working at the embassy there. Oh, my God. All right? So, ladies and gentlemen, this is why I use this channel to advise people and let people know what have been going on. Do you remember what happened? I turned 50 and my thing went lost. I mean, I'm 50 years old. Hold on God's earth. Can my thing there remove from the back of my eyes? How can my lens follow, my natural lens? And if you people do not believe that there's evil into this world, that is when I recognize there's evil into this world, okay? 2020, in the whole of Corona, my lens in my right eye fell out. That is fucking evil. And it's because I looked through that thing, the gate opened, and the bitches over there, their plan failed. And I remember I turned around and I said, I don't think you got it, eh? And I walked away. And, you know, there are, and this is what I always say to people, it doesn't really matter, be kind to people. When I went into the plane, I think all of these white people were just standing around and was just looking at these people as if there's something definitely wrong with this culture. Yeah, there's something fucked up with black race. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but let's be honest. There is something very devastated with black people, all right? Because if even you're light skinned and you think that you are a white, no, you're not white, okay? Most of Caucasian people, brown eyes, hazel eyes, and that sort of a thing. Once your family is an Indian, a Creole, or whatever, you are not white, okay? A lot of people need to educate themselves. So no matter how light your skin is, if your father not white and your mother not white, you're not white. You have Creole, you are just black, all right? So a lot of people, and I see this, ladies and gentlemen, if you know how so much people are so discriminated against their own and their same, there is unbelievable. And 2022, in the height of the COVID, my lens fell out. How the hell a 50-year-old woman lens just fall out? Because someone did not get to be smuggled in Europe under my name. So listen to me. I know all of your stories, okay? I am aware of all of your stories. I know the route from Africa, and then they go to America, and then they come to Europe with American passport, okay? All right? It has been going on for such a long time. I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I just went and sit with people, and people sing like a bird, and I'm thinking, you mother effers. Do you know how people educate themselves and develop their lives and their send their children to have good schools and all of those, and you people that will not wait and will not do anything for yourself, live and eat off of what other people have. Okay, my eyes. And it's a good thing, because when I came back, they said, go change your passport. Okay? So ladies and gentlemen, I know what is evil. I've seen it. I've felt it by my own color. But I'm still here, because this is what my channel is for. My channel is to help. So if you think that everyone who does this work, people go because they are so unjustly abused by other people, this is why they start. They have to, people heal. Because this is what I say to a lot of people. By I doing these readings, and do I heal. I heal myself. I heal my trauma. Okay? I could not talk. I came back to Europe, and like for 6 months, I was just on autopilot. Honestly, I thank God for my ex-partner. I was on autopilot. I could not imagine what has transpired. So if you people think that there is not evil, there is bloody evil, and people are evil. Okay? There are people that is evil. All right? And when I get back and they recognize that I get back, they break in my car garage on my 50th birthday. And only in my car someone slept. Now, we don't have homeless people where I live. We do have homeless people in Holland, but they choose to be homeless because it's a country that we really have homeless people. If there's really homeless people, it's because they choose to be homeless. There are shelters and there are other things, okay? But my car was broken in right on my 50th birthday. So I came back to August, and my 50th birthday was, and yeah, my auto, on my birthday morning, my car was broken in. They left the gloves that they wore. My car was stink. I couldn't drive my car because I remember the Friday evening, I drove my car, I parked it in the garage. We didn't know that the garage, so someone broke in the garage, and whoever it was had slept in my car. It was so stink. It was a small person hands. It was in the middle of the winter, and the gloves and everything, I took it out, put it in a bag, gave it to the police. They didn't have any time to investigate the case. So ladies and gentlemen, I know what evil is. I know what it is to be a target. Okay, and this is the reason for 10 years I went outside of that to investigate, because my house was broken in, and I had to protect my parents' information, because no matter if your parents are dead or alive, you need to protect your parents' information, okay? And when I recognized that my house was broken in, and I advised, I said, listen, my house is broken in, my stuff for my parents are in there, my parents are dead, and nobody say, yeah, you know, and I said, okay, all right, I'm gonna investigate this. So ladies and gentlemen, this is something that genuinely happens to me, okay? I remember when I was at the head of Corona, and there's the best eye clinic is in Rotterdam, and I live close, and my outsource, he sent me to Rotterdam directly, he says, and I went there like at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I left there at 7:30 in the evening. And at some stage, I got really upset. I said, listen, just tell me if I'm going to be blind. Oh, that's all I need to know. Okay, because there was this doctor coming, that doctor coming. But yes, it was surprising for someone at 50. They said, yeah, what you have is like a 92-year-old person. That only happens to 92-year-old person. No, there's bloody evil people into this world. You know, and this is it, because the mundane of people who doesn't understand how evil people can be, there is no way that a 50-something-year-old woman, lens can just fall out. No, there's no magic, there's no thing. There's magic, and there's black magic, and there's witchcraft. That's what it is. So I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, people are evil, because whoever they were planning. And ladies and gentlemen, when I got to Norway, I got to Norway. I came through the thing. She said, as you go back to Amsterdam, change your passport. You need to change your passport, because already in America, TCS recognized what was going on. So they send the message to them. And I remember when I went into the plane, like the air hostess, she said, do you want to sit here? Because you don't have to sit there with them. Come sit here, because this is there. I was like, thank you. I couldn't understand what was happening. And she was just totally sweet. And because I was like sitting in the middle, and she said, no, come sit here. This is much better. But she said, if there's a crash, you have to help the passengers. I'm like, it's cool, okay. And they were so nice, because they sat there and they watched all of these dark-skinned people treated me as if line 350 euros. And when I go back and I asked the company back for the money, I said I had to pay 350 and nothing was wrong. I was 10 kilo and weight, and my suitcase, I took out the clothes what was sitting there, I paid for it, and that was 15, and I had to pay 330 euros. That's criminal. That's criminality, okay? So what I did, I let it go. Come in, I had to change my passport. I said, okay. And I went, I got something, and I sit there, listening to my music. I called my ex-husband. I called my friends. I said, hey, I'm in Norway. I've come over this evening. I'm waiting for my flight to get to Amsterdam. And there's this big fat lady, and she sits in front of me the whole time. And I went to get sushi, and she walks behind me. And I sit down there and I look at her and I think, whoever you were waiting for this flight on, the illegal person you were smuggling, come to me and ask me one question and I'm going to call the police. What happened? Their plan was that they're smuggling someone on the people name. So they will tell people that the flight is gone. Let's say that it is a European flight. So all, like 95% of the people on the flight is Europeans. But if there's someone with different passports, and the thing about it, I had a European passport, and that's the only thing that helped me. Okay, because this person, how the hell that woman is going to be having my boarding pass when I have it in my bag? That means someone behind the desk printed out a boarding pass and give it to that person. And when they saw the door open, the three girls, and I was like, motherfuckers, you people were planning on smuggling someone in my name. Okay. And when I went to Norway, sitting down there waiting, and this fatu, and she wanted to speak to me, and I was like, I said, Spirit, Holy Spirit, let this lady speak to me because I'm calling the police. You people need to stop the illegal smuggling. It happens, ladies and gentlemen. It happens. I saw it for my face. People would tell me how they smuggle people in countries, and I'm thinking, Jesus fucking Christ. This is like a shadow of what is going on. Okay? There are horrible people into this world. And Is it the light against the darkness? A lot of people are saying that we're fighting against the light against the darkness. Is that so? Or it's just that people are just bloody evil? So, ladies and gentlemen, this is why I do this channel. And it cost me my son. It cost me my son. Okay, I came back to Europe, and my son, we have not. My side of the family, no one has seen my son. There is no way that my child at 36 years old can get up and just disappear. Okay? They know. Okay? And I'm telling you people, this is not going to end nicely. Okay? All right? And I'm not dealing with none of you down here, because there's no balance down here. You all will face what you have done. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, there's not many people that you should sit on a table and eat with. Okay? Because people who I sat on table and eat with got paid and know where my child was. Okay? All right? Keep to yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Don't try to help people anymore. Let people find themselves out. If they got themselves in something, let them find themselves out of it. I have saved so many people's lives, okay, because of all I saw. And I think, you know, I was just going I just end up, I told you guys, the last job I end up in the middle of, that was where the swap shop was. You mean they came in, they didn't speak any language, any English language, and yeah, they were just swapped through that and they went out. So ladies and gentlemen, I know a lot of you are not happy with ICE and what is going on, but it needed to happen, okay? Because you people have no idea what goes on. And trust me, ladies and gentlemen, you can all say that ICE is this and ICE is that. If the person, listen, someone can have a paper, but if they don't run through all the system, ladies and gentlemen, there was a story where this man said, yes, he asked for a driver's license, I gave it to him. Listen, when you are 100% in a system, people who get their papers underneath the table, it's not in the correct system, because you never get into the thing there. And this is why they're catching all of you people. So, you know, the thing about it is that, you know, people, you got to be honest, because most of you did buy your papers to get in and the rest of it. And listen, when you buy your papers, it doesn't go through the original system, because you did not go through the right way. Point A, point B, point C, point D, point E, point F, point G. No, because people who are selling papers and documents in government institution, organization underneath the table, they can't get to go up to the top where the supervisor and the heads are. And this is why these people are being picked up. So you people can call out an ICE and the rest of it. If you're in one system, you're supposed to roll down all system. Okay? That's how the system works. All right. And it is not honest for another person to be using another person's data and information and is collecting money. And no, these people are criminals. You're just a criminal. If you really seriously think about it, that you are getting papers that is not yours and you're using it. Okay. America is one of the easiest countries for people to get married. That's why I don't believe in marriage and that sort of thing. I remember when I was a child and I was going down to the island. My father makes sure tells me, listen, you don't care about none of those island people. And there's nothing wrong. The problem is that these men are going to be having 6, 10 women. And you pick them up and you go get married to them. He has like 10, and trust me, don't let him travel, because he has a man, a woman in every, can be man and women, because nowadays everybody's just banging everything. They will have people in different states. My father has always told me, do not carry anything back. You let it stay right there. Okay? And this is unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen, because They tried to kill me, because that's the message I got, because I was not ready to come back to Florida, to return. And I went, I don't know if you guys know Winn-Dixie. And Winn-Dixie has, you know, the sweet Hawaiian bread. And it really, if you grew up in America at the time when I was a child, it's the best barbecue bread ever. It's a sweet, it hate Hawaiian bread. It's sweet. They have them in rolls. They have them in small rolls. Oh my God. And Publix, not Publix, Winn-Dixie, because people who are down in Florida like Orlando, and so there is Winn-Dixie. God damn it. They have by the deli the Hawaiian sweetbread and the chicken wings. Oh my God, they got wings in all different flavors. Oh God. So on a Friday evening, my cousin and I used to like pick up the chicken and drive from West Farm to go to Port St. Lucie. And I always pick up the chicken and the sweetbread. Oh my God, heaven. Like, you know, you have these things that you do. If we're going along Wawa, we always go for Wawa shakes in the middle of the night. Sometimes I call her, I say, hey, get a Wawa shake for us. I'm not there. But, you know, that is just family. You know, my cousin is like my sister. She was like, you know, she's like, and she was born the same month of my mom. And when my mom was doing chemo, my cousin would have drove like 3 hours to get to Orlando to she and her boyfriend on the days that my mother was doing chemo and I was there. And there are some people who just like have a little piece of my heart. So ladies and gentlemen, try and help humanity. You don't have to give. Okay, I stopped giving because I'm sure the people are not the right people who are supposed to get the money. It's not, because I remember I used to give to Africa, and in Holland, you know, you go to school with multi different people from different countries. And I was talking to this girl from Africa, and she said, yeah, you know, the things that is donated comes to Africa and then they sell it to us. That's just shit and fuckery, you know? And can you imagine people donate food, clothes, and then when it gets there, I mean, come on, guys, Jesus. I mean, really, we gotta do different on this planet. We really, really gotta do different on this planet. And I want to say to all my subscribers, I actually do love you all. I mean, I have been doing this like for 10 years, and trust me, sometimes I am sleepy sometimes. And to be honest, this is one of the reasons I would prefer not to have a partner and I can do my readings. Okay, I need to have inner peace. Okay, I don't want anyone stressing me out. I just want to be left alone. All right, I've done my 10 years. I don't know how many years I will do. A lot of people wants me to go back to read. I gotta take time. Sometimes, so you can catch me live tonight if you want to be there. But you know, you can't take, okay? Because you keep on giving up your energy, and it's about taking. And as I said to a lot of people, it doesn't really matter how many people my video reach. It's the one that received the message, okay? And trust me, I've met the most beautiful people ever through my channel and through my thing there, because I was the first one. I was doing private readings and I'd load it up. You know, if you go back and you look at all, I kind of closed them off because they had all the different readings I used to do. I closed them off. But I was the first one who started doing video reading, and I'd load them up in YouTube. I used to send them, and then I'd load them up in YouTube when the privacy law came in that we had to do things private. So, you know, I've done a lot, I think, for humanity. I've really, in the shadows of all of these 10 years, I am so grateful, and thanks to all the kindness. And even you guys see with my eyes, because the day I was like, just tell me, am I going to be blind? He said no. I said, no, we just have to change your lens. Because everybody was coming and looking. I was like, I just need to know I'm not going to be blind. And they said, no, we can just change your lens. And, you know, after that, seeing what happened to me in 2023, and, you know, I've been taking the last year to forgive all of these people. Forgiveness is the key. But ladies and gentlemen, there are evil people on this planet. There's people who wants to have what you have. There are people that will do anything to create this illusion and to ruin other people's reputation. Okay, if I don't have anything good to say about you, I don't really want to say anything. Okay. And you know, a lot of people, especially people who are awakening, you're going to be recognizing that you can't keep it. You're just cutting, bam, 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 bam. You know, hello, yeah, yeah, okay, all right. You can't. There is no playing the juggling of things. There's no manipulations. That's when you know you're really, you know, no. And if someone is coming at you, you know, like 10 miles away, that, you know, no, you know, my ex have done so much for this channel. He has built all of my website, and he's not here today because his mom is in the hospital, and I want to so, you know, tell you guys how much I've appreciated it. I'm going to go back in really angels, because I've always done that, but I had to do the investigation parts. Ladies and gentlemen, you will never know that people copy your identity, and what people will do, okay? Because whoever these people were, they had a tracker on my truck, because that's the only reason they could have known. And I make sure it didn't fly back to Amsterdam, but I fly that way and then come this way. And then I sat in the airport, and ladies, and this lady, she wanted to come over and talk to me. And I was like, lady, you come the fuck over here. I'm really going to call the police and let people know how you people have been smuggling these people in Europe. I was just not playing. I was like, this is not happening on my book. So ladies and gentlemen, next time, you know, I don't know, but I listen to my intuition. I think my intuition protects me from a lot of stuff. All right. And I think if people start listening to their intuition, because a lot of people are like, shit, oh, I felt this. I kind of see this coming. I was like, and you're afraid of it. No, your intuitions are actually your angels and guides who are protecting you. Okay. And you know, there is just so much wonderful people in law enforcement. There are good and there are bad, but I'm telling you, there are people in life. And you know, check out, if you follow my channel, check out if you follow my tweets, check out my tweets. I always tweet my son. He looks like me. You can't you know, he looks like me. If you see my son, if anyone know where my son is, they have sent us a photograph of my son with a bucket over his head, and you only see the body. They have done things, ladies and gentlemen. And he has an adopted mother. He has his aunt is his adopted mother. He has me, which is biological mother. We need to find him. We want to know whether he's dead or alive. I need to know where my son is. I am, and you know, that's also one of the reasons why I'm not doing readings, because I need to heal myself from that. And I'm thinking, my thing is that, why did I bring my son on this planet? You know, but he has to come. And but like going after a person and then going after their child, I think you're very sick. And I think you know where my child is. You sit on a table and you eat with me. You were paid money under the table. Don't you feel fucking bad about yourself? No, because you will sell out anyone in order to have money. But you will face your karmas and you're going to be facing your karmas. Don't forget. But I did tell you, the day I die, they're going to be coming looking for you. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, I've gone through a whole lot, you know, just 3 little steps. I mean, they're not even that you're going to be falling from 3 little steps and broken 7 ribs and a collarbone. Here is my scar, and I'm not afraid of my scar. This scar is teaching me something, and what it is teaching me, if your intuition says, do not go or get a certain person close to you, listen, because if my intuition had listened, I would never have these 2 scars. Okay, all right, just in a year. Okay, so my lens fell out of my eyes, then I drop and broke 7 collarbone and a chest. This is my collarbone here. You see how growth it is, because they had to, it was broken like this, and the doctors have to put it. I have all the metals here. This was what was in it. I have all the metals. I came back after vacation, and here 37 screws, okay, to repair my collarbone. So, you know, ladies and gentlemen, I've been through a lot, and I cannot be just one of those persons that don't get involved with people, that don't get connected, that I'm target. It must be a reason why you're target. Nobody targets anyone for a green card. No one targets anyone for a green card. Do you understand what I'm saying? No one targets anyone for a green card, okay? My identity was given away and was stolen, and they tried to change destiny with me, my child, and our family members. We were target. Okay? All right? And I'm going to give you advice. Human smuggle operation happens all over the world. All over the world. You will never ever know, but it happens all over the world. But my thing is that when you are going to be killing another person to switch destiny with that person, because you think that that person color or where they were born should not give them the right, then I think you better take a good look at yourself. Okay, so I know it's unrest and everything in America, and everybody is talking about ICE. Yeah, okay, maybe they're doing things that they're not supposed to do, but if you are legally set in a system, there is no way. But people who buy their papers, they don't get the good general thing. They get someone that give them the paper so they can get the license, the driver's license, and the passport, but not that it was run up. It's like a tree. A tree has to have its roots. Okay? A lot of people. Okay? And then I recognize how these people were getting in Europe. They were getting on planes, they were getting on boats, they were getting on flights and countries that do not speak the English language, that is not recognizing what was going on. These people were smuggling people using, because like once a flight, ladies and gentlemen, I've been traveling since I'm 5 years old. Okay, I'm one of these person that grew up with white family and black family. I gotta choose which one I'm going to. Christmas, okay? And I've been traveling for 30 years to and from Europe, okay? And I live here for so long. Okay, and in this house is 20 years. And that a man can come to my house to look at me, to tell me, you better, no, you asked me to stay in my house. I'm trying to help you. And you're going to be telling me it's time that you go and look for another thing. All right? It's time that you go look for another place. Now, why would I go look for another place when this is my house and I've been paying my mortgage for over 20 years? Okay? Someone came for your life. Okay? Because they placed whoever this person was supposed to take my life. And I look at the person and I said, listen, I die today, you'll be picked up tomorrow. Okay? I've meet the devil. I've met the demon. And I let him know. So ladies and gentlemen, you gotta understand. You gotta understand there's good and there's bad. Okay? But you, as a person, have to make the choice. Okay? What is going to be your choice? Which direction you're going to go? Okay? And I always tell people, the time you're messing around and you're gossiping, my grandmother always said the devil gives idlers work to do. Okay? And I you know, I always listen to her sayings, and that's why I use this channel. Instead of I'm going to be sitting on the telephone speaking for hours to someone, I am doing something to help humanity. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. It has been a terrific, a wonderful. I'm sorry I don't do the lives anymore, but yeah, after so many years, my partner is tired. I'm tired. I mean, yeah, we had no life. But I will get back doing them because I choose to be alone. And when you love people, I am an only child, he's an only child. My parents, I know what happened when I was off the time in Holland. I was flying home for the weekend for my mom when my mom was sick. But I think it's only right to let someone be with their parents for whatever rest of the time they're on this planet. To enjoy those moments, because I think if I could return time, I would, you know, want my mom back. I do love you guys. I want to say thank you so much for all the years. You can catch me at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the European watchers. It's going to be 2 o'clock in midnight in Europe. So you can catch me there, or you can pick up the live tomorrow. I so appreciate this. Thank you so much. Please share these videos so that other people can receive it. I really want you guys to know I really enjoy, and I'm so grateful for all the support. Namaste.